We will now show you the display of the ECAM fuel page during a normal flight. First of all, let's review the ECAM fuel page on ground before engine start. You can notice that all pumps are off, cross-line amber, as indicated by the white off lights on the fuel overhead panel. As soon as pumps have been switched on by the pilot, the amber indications on the ECAM fuel page become in-line green for pumps running and cross-line green for pumps ready to run in standby. Note, the engines are not running yet. Engines 1 and 2 have been started. Observe, the engine identification numbers 1 and 2 change from amber to white. The low pressure valves open in line green. The fuel used and the total fuel used indications are automatically reset to 0. The calculation of the new engine fuel used and the new all-engine fuel flow begin. You have taken off. We will now show you how the FCMCs control the fuel transfer during the entire flight. Like the A340-300, the fuel system is controlled by 2 FCMCs during all the flight. The FCMCs measure the fuel quantity and indicate it on the ECAM. Calculate the aircraft's gross weight, GW, and center of gravity, CG, based on the zero fuel weight, ZFW, and the center of gravity entered by the crew. Automatically control transfer of fuel to the inner tanks for engine feed. Automatically control transfer of fuel for center of gravity control. The fuel transfer sequence is as follows: center to inner, aft transfer to trim if center of gravity adjustment is required, forward transfer from trim, outer to inner. Let's now see these transfers in more detail. First, the center to inner transfer. The center pumps run continuously as long as there is fuel in the center tanks. As soon as one inner tank content reaches the underfull condition, an automatic transfer from the center tank to the inner tank starts through the center transfer pumps. The logic of this transfer is broken down into 2 separate steps. First, when the center tank content is above 17,000 kilograms, and then when the center tank content is less than 17,000 kilograms. When the center tank content is above 17,000 kilograms, the center pumps deliver fuel to keep the inner tank contents between 17,200 kilograms and 18,200 kilograms for the inner tanks 1 and 4, and between 24,700 kilograms and 25,700 kilograms for the inner tanks 2 and 3. When the center tank content is less than 17,000 kilograms, pumps deliver fuel to keep the inner tank content between 17,200 kilograms and 18,200 kilograms in each inner tank. Note, the center to inner tanks transfers could be automatically performed to only one tank if necessary. Each tank is controlled independently. When the center tank is empty, the 2 center tank pumps stop automatically. Let's now look at the center of gravity control. If the actual center of gravity is forward of the target center of gravity, and if the aircraft is above flight level 255, an automatic aft transfer occurs. From the center tank to the trim tank if the center tank content is above 17,000 kilograms, or from the inner tanks to the trim tank if the center tank content is below 17,000 kilograms. If, during an aft transfer, a big difference exists between the total fuel quantity of inner tanks 1 and 4 and the total fuel quantity of inner tanks 2 and 3, then the transfer from the lightest pair of tanks will stop until fuel balance is restored. A forward transfer occurs automatically in order to maintain the actual center of gravity within 0.5% forward of the target center of gravity, or when descending below flight level 245, or when time to destination is less than 45 minutes. Forward transfer from the trim tank is either to the center tank not empty, or to the inner tanks, center tank empty. On the memo display, trim tank transfer in progress appears in green during a trim tank transfer. Note, if during a forward transfer to the inner tanks an imbalance exists between the total fuel quantity of tanks 1 and 4 and the total fuel quantity of tanks 2 and 3, then the transfer to the heavier pair of tanks will stop until fuel balance is restored. The forward trim pumps run continuously as long as there is fuel in the trim tank. When trim tank is empty, the two trim tank pumps stop automatically. The trim tank isolation and inlet valves close. A trim tank transferred message appears on the engine warning display. We will now see the automatic outer to inner transfer. As soon as one inner tank quantity drops below 2,000 kilograms with the trim tank empty, the outer tank transfer valves open to keep the inner tank contents between 2,000 kilograms and 2,500 kilograms. The outer to inner tank transfer is performed by gravity and is indicated by the symbol in each outer tank on the ECAM fuel page, the green message Outer Tank Transfer in Progress on the engine warning display memo. As previously, the FCMCs automatically control the balance of the wing during the transfer. The outer tank transfer valves will close automatically when the outer tanks are empty for 5 minutes. An outer tank transferred message is displayed on the engine warning display when the outer tanks are empty. The FCMCs control each tank independently and can also control independent transfer from one tank to another. The jettison operation is manually activated by the crew via the jettison push-button switches. During jettison, all cross-feed valves, main and standby pumps are open. An automatic forward transfer is initiated. A jettison in progress message is displayed on the engine warning display and jettison indications appear on the ECAM fuel page.